Well, hello, welcome again to a reading of Ephesians, and I'm up to chapter 4. So he begins, Parakelo un humas ego hodesmios in kurio axios, peripatesai tes klesios, heis eklethete, metapases tapinophrosunes kai prautetos, metamacrothumias and ecomenoi alelon en agape. And another, I'll finish to the semicolons. Spudas dontes terrain ten henoteta to pneumatos into sundesmo tes erenes. So I beseech you therefore, so I the one who is in bondage, I the prisoner, therefore beseech you in the Lord to walk worthily, we've seen this peripatio before, this Septuagintalism, of the klesios, from klesis, of the calling, and then it gets attracted into the genitive, but it probably can also be a genitive here in its own right. So, of which you have been called. We would say, in which you have been called. Metapases, with all tapenophrosunes, all humility. Tapenos is a word meaning humble, and you get the phrosunes to do with your mind. So, with a humble-minded attitude, perhaps. Kai prautetos, genitive from prautes, third declension adjective. Meekness, metamacrothumias, with long suffering, and ecomenoi, this is the middle from an echo, putting up with or bearing up with, here it takes a genitive, one another in love. Spudas dontes, now this means being eager, being keen, that has that over sense as well of sort of working hard at something. So being eager, terrain, to keep or perhaps maintain, the henoteta, this is from henotes, third declension noun again, and you can see the henos root meaning one, so it's the unity of the spirit. In the sun desmo, in the bond, perhaps the common bond, to get the sun into it, of peace. Hen soma kai hen pneuma, kathos kai eklethete en mia elpidi tes klesios hemon. One body and one spirit, just as also you were called. This is an aorist passive, second person plural. In one hope of your calling. There's klesis again. Heis kurios mia pistis hen baptisma. Now there's a lovely example from the Greek of heis, mia and hen. Heis with masculine, mia with the feminine, and hen with the neuter. Nice example there of the three different genders for the word for one. So one Lord, one faith, one baptism. Heis theos kai parte panton, ho epipanton kai diapanton kai en pasin. One God and Father of all, who is over all things, and through all things, and in all things. Again, nice trickle on here, where you've got three different things. The Greek likes to do that. Heni de hekasto hemon edothe hekaris kata tometron te storias tu Christu. The grace has been given, aorist passive, to each one of you, literally to one each of you, to each one of you, according to the measure of the gift of the Messiah. Dio lege, dia we've seen before for dia plus ho, on account of which or for which reason he says, and we then have a quotation, and the quotation is from Psalm 68:18, except the verbs there are in the second person, not the third person. And the Septuagint is slightly different. So the editors put it in bold. It is a quotation of sorts. So Anubas, having arisen from Anabino into the height, eik malotusen, eik malosian, edo ken domata tois anthropois. So having gone up into the heights, this is from eik malotuo, and eik malotes is someone who has been taken by the spear. So you get eikme is an old word for spear, and the halot root is from haliskamai, used as a passive for hyrio, to take. So this is the verb. Then it comes to mean to make captive. It was originally to take somebody by means of a spear, by violence. Then it comes to mean to take a captive. We have here the abstract noun eik malosia for captivity, and here we're getting abstract for concrete. So it's something like, having gone to the heights, he took captive the captives, literally the captivity. Did Edoken, he gave domata gifts to men. The dot here is connected with didomi, to give. So doma is a gift. It's one of these third declensions. It's a late noun, third declension neuter nouns. Tonde anebe ti estin, ame hoti kai kat ebe, es ta kato terra, meretes geis, a question here. And what is this anebe? So he's taken anebe from the participle up here. So what he's saying is, what does this he went up mean? Except that also katebe, so anabino is to go up, katabino is to go down, except that also he went down, eista katotera, into the, downward parts of the earth, and that's in brackets. So into the lower regions, the nether regions of the earth. Ho katabas autos esti kai ho anabas eperano panton ton uranon. It's a rather strange argument here. He takes this verse completely out of context and then says, well, what does this going up mean, except that also he must have gone down to the lower parts of the earth. And the one going down, he himself is also the one going up, huperano, above or beyond all the heavens. Hina, in order that plerose, he might fulfill, or perhaps fill, for plerose, he might fill tapanta, all things. I'll get that steady there. Kai autos edoken tus men apostolus, tus de prophetas, tus de euangelistas, tus de poimenas, kai didaskalus, pros ton kat artismon ton hagion, es ergon diakonias, es oikodomen tu somatos tu Christu. I might just pause it there. And he himself gave the apostles and the prophets and the euangelistas. This is from euangelistes. It's a first declension masculine noun. This is a New Testament term. It's a biblical term. It's not used outside of biblical Greek. It's the one who preaches the good news. The euangelistas. So the edoken might be something like he appointed, perhaps, because we get a tus men and a tus de and a tus de. So he himself appointed some to be apostles, some to be prophets, some to be preachers of the gospel, some to be poimenes, from poimen, shepherds, and understand some to be teachers. Pros ton kat artismon. Katartisto is to make ready, and this particular, the katartismon, it's only here in the New Testament. It is used in Galen, the medical writer, in the sense of restoring to health. So here it really is something like, with regard to the making ready of the saints for the work of service, for the oikodomen, for the building up of the body of Christ. Mechri kat antes somen, huipantes esten henoter tates pistios kaites epigenosios tu huiu tu thiu, es andra teleon, es metron helikias tu pleramatas tu tos tu Christu. And I'll just pause it there. Until, now this is from kat antio, it's a subjunctive here. Sorry, kat antao, I should say. Kat antao is the verb. It normally means to come to or arrive at, but here I think perhaps in the sense of to attain. So until all might attain or come to the henoteta, that's the accusative of henotes, the unity of the faith, and the epignosios, genitive from epignosis, the full knowledge of the Son of God, eis andra teleon. So it's all this idea that all may come to, so each one may become a teleon andra, a perfect man, into the measure. Helikia is interesting word. It often meant age or span of life. Here it's often translated stature or maturity, and so it's unto the measure of stature or maturity of the fullness of the Messiah. Hina meketi omen nepioi clue donidzomenoi kai periferomenoi panti animo tes disgalias en te kubea ton anthropon en panologia prosten methodean tes planes. I'll just stop there. In order that no longer, omen is subjunctive from the verb to be, and it's first person plural, we may no longer be nepioi, children, and we've come across this before, it's ne plus epos root, unable to speak, and hence babes. So in order that we might no longer be babes, kludonidzomenoi, this is from kludonizdomai, it means to be tossed around by a kludon, a wave. Some translate this as being buffeted, it means knocked around by a wave. Kai periferomenoi, being carried around by every wind of teaching. Ente kubeia is a very odd word here. I'll just move up a bit here. Very strange word here. It's connected with our word cube, because it's connected with the word for dice. It's only here in the New Testament. In classical Greek it means dice playing, and hence here people who play with dice often cheat. So there's a sense of trickery here. So by the trickery of men, and then en panergia, this also has that sense of evil doing. It's connected with pan and the erg root of doing lots of things, and hence doing them in a bad, naughty way. So this is a good classical word. It tends to mean wickedness or evil doing. With regard to the methodean, connected with our word method, it's literally a method or device. It's used by late writers in the sense of scheming or crafty dealing and so on. It's only here in the New Testament and in this same book in chapter 6 verse 11, so we'll see it again a bit later. of error. So let me just do that bit again, because it's all very difficult Greek. So in order that we may no longer be babes, being knocked around or buffeted by waves, and being carried around by every wind of teaching, by the scheming or devices, the evil or the tricky devices of men, with their evil doing, in regard to the devising of error. Perhaps take this as an abstract noun, so devising of error. Aleitheuontes de en agape auxe somen es auton tapanta hos estin he kephale Christos. Again, I might just pause there. Aleitheuo, connected with aleithes, the truth, so this is telling the truth in love. Hortatory subjunctive, so let us increase, let us increase in him all things. So let us grow all things into him, I think, from alxino, to increase, coming to grow. To cognate with our word augment in English. So we might grow into him. It could be adverbial here, in respect of all things, so in every way, who is the head, and that's Christos. Now verse 16 is very difficult. I'll read it through. It's ex hupantos soma, sun homologumenon, kai sum bibadzomenon, diapases haphes, tes epikoregias, cat en argean en metro henos, hekastu merus ten auxesin, tu somatos poietai es oikodomen hiautu en agape. So this is a very difficult verse here. I'll just do it literally and try and explain some of the words here. So, from whom the whole body. Now this is that sun homologia. We've had that earlier in this book. It's fairly rare. It has that sense of being fitted together. It's a passive participle. Being fitted together, and sum bibazdomen. This is again is a domenon. This is a passive participle from sum bibazdo. Another word. This is a classical word. It means to put together or join. So this is fitted together and this is joined together. Diapases haphes. Now haphe, it's connected with the verb haptomai, to touch, but it actually in the sense of it's a different root. Sorry, it's connected with the word for joining, and so here means a joint, generally often used in a medical term, the joint of a body. So the whole verse here is all about, it's a metaphor based on the body, and the verse is very obscure and the imagery is complicated and unclear. Epikoregia is another funny word. We're going to translate it as support. It originally meant funding that was given to a chorus, hence you see the core root in here. So when a chorus was set up to perform a play, it had to be funded, and the epikoregia was the funding for a chorus, and here then the word comes to mean just a supply or support. Kat energean, in accordance with the operation in the measure of each part. And now we finally get the main verb. So the body is made, the body makes, I think this is middle, the growth of the, so the body causes the growth of the body into an oikodomen, into the building of itself in love. Now that's not very good, so I'll go back and just translate this again literally here. So literally, from whom this is Christos, pantosoma, the whole body, fitted together and joined together through each joint of support. So this goes together through each joint of support. Now, according to the operation or the working in the measure of each, now the henos I'm going to translate as single, of each single part. I think the idea here is that each member of the church makes their own contribution in accordance with their talent. All this poietai produces the auxesin, the growth of the body, eis oikodoman, into the building of itself in love. And that's probably about the best I can do with this verse. It is a very difficult, obscure verse, and again I'll leave the commentaries to expound further what the imagery is here, but that's literally what the Greek is saying. And that's the first part of chapter 4.